Oh, man. Old man reactions. Ugh. So this is Daigo doing a critical art. Also known as a super art and not a critical art at all. But it also resets the neutral. And then Mago just burned himself out into critical art. Which is not a critical art, it's a super art. His health isn't low enough. And it looked like Mago didn't like that decision. He did the old You see him, he literally did the head scratch. Like, I'm gonna be burnt out. I don't know if I like this. Yeah, the drive rush was the problem. I don't think you want a drive rush here. But you can't confirm this crouching medium kick. And the crouching medium kick was the whole reason Daigo got hit, because of the distance and the low property of it. So at that point, what else could he have done? Because you're not confirming this. It's risky to do like low forward and tatsu. But I think at that point he had to switch his decision. Like he already kind of feels like, oh, this is a mistake. I should fix this mistake by going into level 3. Yeah, if EX Hadouken, he would have had very little meter. A regular fireball is not that good. Why are you not confirming that? Most low attacks are not confirmable. I got you. So the burnout for Mago isn't that bad. He is further ahead in health. And he had the advantage, the +8 advantage off of the super. You take some chip from the fireballs because of the burnout. But right here, this is where Daigo is at his best. These fireballs are not only doing chip damage, they're putting Mago further behind. So because of this one EX fireball that Daigo does right here, that would have either beat Mago doing a fireball, because Mago can't do EX fireballs. He has like, Mago had to do a crazy jump to basically win the situation over. So this EX fireball secures neutral for Daigo, especially like at that distance. So every fireball that Mago blocks has 4 more disadvantage because he's in burnout. So it's also doing chip. So how can he actually come back in neutral against his own character, Ryu versus Ryu? You have to find a gap to throw fireballs, but you're behind in the fireball war. So this is like playing Super Turbo, but you're just a step behind because you're in burnout. The good news is, he has enough health to block these. And when you block in burnout, you gain your meter back. So he can just take the chip damage and then just, ride it. Can't Ryu just tatsu? That's a good question. I don't mean to sound dismissive. We should look at when tatsu is projectile invul, and then maybe we can think about if it's reactable. Most of the time, at least in the past Street Fighter games, tatsuing through fireballs is really dangerous. People get away with it all the time, and especially like mid to lower level play. But you don't see it in the higher level play very often at all. And part of the reasons why is because it's really slow and the invincibility kicks in pretty late. It is not bad to do. It might even be better in this game for different reasons. But let's look at tatsu and when it actually is projectile invul, if they have that. We'll go with light kick. Light kick's decently fast. It doesn't have the invul in it. It's airborne on frame 5, but I don't know when it's projectile invul. Airborne. Projectile invincible on lower body frames 10 through 41 on the medium kick tatsu. So it's not projectile invul until frame 10. This one's really tough to describe because it depends so much on the distance of the two characters and the speed of the fireball. Not the startup, but the travel speed. The startup too, but the travel speed of the fireball also matters. So let's just keep this 10 in mind. But let's look at the startup of Ryu's fireball, like light fireball. We'll go with light. So if you were in Ryu's face, directly in his face, and you tried to react to fireball, you have 10 frames on startup for your tatsu. So it's not going to work until 10. Basically, you got to react in 6 frames. 16 startup on the fireball, but your invincibility doesn't kick in until frame 10. So this is nearly effectively the startup of your move, that 10 frames. So you would have 6 frames to react with medium kick tatsu. Ain't no way. The very best I can react is not me. I can do human benchmark and get between 9 and 10 at my very best reacting to one thing. That's no input. There's no direction. That's just hitting a button, green to red. So 6 frames is unreasonable. It's not humanly possible. But if there's distance, if it's distanced and then the fireball hits you, let me think about it. If the fireball hits you 25 frames later, then maybe you got a shot at reacting to it. If the fireball travels for an extra 10 frames, 9, 10 frames, maybe you can react with tatsu. Otherwise, you're guessing, which is not wrong. You can guess with it. That's fine. But yeah, 6 frames, I can probably never be ever convinced that a human can react in 6 frames. You can decide and guess and do it and just try it and see what happens. Don't forget mental stack. Don't forget knowledge check. Don't forget Alex Viable. So reacting with tatsus, it is an option, but it's very unsafe. That is really something about fighting games that is just one of the most important aspects of it, is dividing what is and what is not reactable, and then establishing what is risk and reward. When it's not reactable, risk and reward. And then, can they react to what your guess is? What is their risk against your move? And how does that influence, the decision making? And then, risk reward is dynamic. Risk reward changes so much. If Daigo had 0 health, or if he had like 1 health and a tatsu would kill, then maybe you might think about it. Maybe you might do a wild guess because it wins you the game. But if you do a tatsu and then they don't throw a fireball and they block it, they'll get a full punish counter combo. And they'll do a lot more damage to you. So, that's that.